Hello everybody and welcome back to More Adventures. My name is Mike and recently my fiance Catalina and I spent 3 days on the Caribbean islands in Colombia. We spent 2 days in San Andres and 1 day in Providencia and Santa Catalina. In this video, we are going to cover a travel guide of the amazing attractions that we visited, the accommodation, and the transport. We will also include the cost of each of these. Let's have some fun. Vamos, amigos. Our trip started in San Andres, which is a small island of about 80 to 90,000 people. It's technically closest to Nicaragua, about 237 miles away from Nicaragua, but it is part of Colombia. And you can arrive into San Andres from the big cities of Colombia such as Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena, and Cali. There's also an international flight that runs 2 times per week into San Andres from Panama City. The main language spoken on the island is Spanish and English. You can honestly get by in either one of these languages and be just fine. When you do arrive into San Andres, you are required to show a travel card. The travel card can be purchased from your departing flight location. The cost for us was about $30 per person. When we arrived into San Andres, there will be a line where they verify your travel card. When leaving the airport, there will also be taxis outside. We opted on walking to our hotel, which was about 25 minutes from the airport. The hotel that we stayed at was nice, but if I had to do it again, we would stay at a different location that was closer to the center part of town. The first night, we decided to go out in the center part of town, and we noticed that the nightlife had a lot of energy. There were always people outside. We enjoyed the Christmas lights in December. That's one thing I found in Colombia that they do quite well. There are so many lights in every part of this country during the month of December. In downtown San Andres, there are many restaurants in the main area. They will all be delicious. We had a good experience at each one of them. But one thing we did want to note here is the service was very, very slow. This was also something that we received from a few other travelers. The next morning, we woke up and had breakfast at the hotel and then walked to the main boat tour area. We booked a boat tour that ran from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The tour cost us about $15 per person. This included a nice pontoon boat with full shade. There are many tour companies that run from this area. We do recommend to negotiate with the companies to receive the best price. The boat tour took us around all the main areas near San Andres, such as the Rocky Cay, a beautiful white sand swimming area, the area that they call the aquarium where you can snorkel, the mangrove area, and the 6 different colors of the sea. We found that this tour was a great way to see the beauty of San Andres in the water in one full day. The first swimming spot was just a beautiful white sand area in the Caribbean. There were a few Coco Loco boats to go ahead and get your drink on. We then made our way to the Rocky Cay, Rocky Point area, which is a beautiful white sand beach. This white sand beach was a perfect place for us just to relax and take it all in. They had a few different restaurants with shade associated with them. After we spent about an hour at the Rocky Cay area, we went ahead to the aquarium, is what they call it. The aquarium is a massive snorkeling destination. This is also can be considered a tourist trap, so do be careful. There are a lot of boats and they drop you off in all of the same area. You will find an area at the aquarium that everybody is first snorkeling to, and it's this big sign that says I love San Andres. But underneath it is something that's quite interesting. They have a bunch of nurse sharks. So they went ahead and created a man-made shelter that's a shadowed area that nurse sharks like to hang out at, and the people there will go ahead and get the nurse sharks out of that shelter when people want pictures with the sharks. This was something that was quite interesting for us to see. We asked a few questions. The nurse sharks do leave at nighttime, but during the daytime they normally will come back to that area because probably they know that they're going to be fed. At some points, if nobody was getting pictures, they'll try to get the people around them to show the sharks are coming out, and you can have some pretty close interactions with nurse sharks. But after that, we wanted to just go ahead and snorkel some of the area. There were some beautiful fish nearby, some small little reef area. Just a good spot to get away from everybody. As you can see, we weren't near anybody, and we spent about a good 2 hours in this area. The boat then came back and everybody went back on it, and it's only about 15 minutes or so to get back to the mainland of San Andres. Once we did get back to the mainland of San Andres, we just walked back to the Airbnb. There was a restaurant nearby, and we got ready for the next big day. The next day, we rented a scooter, and it was about $16 for the full day. The people that we rented it from, they went ahead and just dropped it off at our hotel, which was really nice. You can drive around the whole island in about an hour. I think there's only 32 kilometers of road that gets you around the whole entire island, but there are so many awesome stops that you can make a full day out of this. We really enjoyed stopping at the different beaches, swimming areas. There's also a place at the top of the hill where there's a pond full of alligators. We recommend just taking your time as you're going through the towns, and you will see other little golf cart areas stopping in different spots. You can go ahead and just pull over wherever you want, stop your scooter, and soak it all in. One of our favorite stops was near the Westview area where there was a swimming destination. The swimming destination was 8,000 pesos or about $2. This was really cool. It had the Caribbean water and then some man-made attractions such as a water slide that went ahead and had a small little drop at the end of it. And then they also built a few diving boards. From my past, being a kid, I loved being at swimming pools with diving boards, so this brought back some awesome memories for me. You will notice here there are a decent amount of people, but this does clear out. We stayed about an hour here. I think at certain times of the day, tour companies with buses will come here and drop a bunch of people off, and then they'll come back and pick them up. But it doesn't last for too long. As you can see here, it's slowly less and less people in the area, and just having a good time swimming around, jumping off the diving boards. And we also brought the snorkel to see what type of fish were in the area. We hopped back on the scooter and started making our way at a few other little stops. Like I said earlier, don't be afraid to stop that scooter and check out some of the restaurants or just some cool beach spots where you can hang out and jump in the water. Now, one of the stops we started making our way towards was the big blowhole, is what it's called. So the blowhole area is a natural area that erosions took in place, and a big hole has been carved out near the coast, and water from the area will go ahead and push air into this hole area, and a bunch of pressure will seek through this area and water will come out. I made a comment here that it is free, so when you are driving into this area, people are going to be trying to stop your scooter or your golf cart, and they're going to say you gotta pay or you have to buy a drink and so forth. The answer is no, you don't have to pay. It was free, but we did go ahead and we did buy a few drinks and we hung out there for a little bit. We jumped back on the scooter and we started making our way through, and different parts of the islands have different beach areas where there's small little waves. One of the areas that we're heading towards to right now is the San Luis area, and what I found interesting, they actually run some surf camps in this area, so some surfing. So certain times of the day, certain times of the year, they'll have waves big enough where you can actually surf. But the San Luis area was an awesome beach spot where we hung out. We hopped back on the scooter and we went to the central part of the island. And this was a very interesting drive as it felt very local. We went to the area called Big Pond, right in the middle of the island. And the reason why we wanted to go there is because we understood that there was a big pond of alligators. It was about $2.50 US to get in the entrance. When you're arriving, there will be somebody who will walk you into the area. The guy that we were with was awesome. He actually lives in this area. So his backyard is the pond. These alligators are his family, as he told us. This is a super cool reggae part of town. He's going ahead and just putting some bait on a man-made fishing rod. He's going ahead and catching these little fish. And when he's catching these little fish, there's alligators everywhere in the beach part of the pond. And so he's taking the fish off of the hook here, and he's just feeding these to the alligators. And he did this multiple times for us. And this is something that we don't get to see on a regular day basis. Somebody's backyard full of alligators, kids on a swing, this is their home, hanging out with their friends, the alligators, and having no issues with literally swinging right over the alligators. So the guy just went ahead and he was catching these fish, feeding them. He said that he thinks that there's about 40 different alligators inside of the pond. He said that he goes swimming in this pond quite regularly. When he does go in the water, the alligators do not swim towards him. They swim away from him. There weren't any type of aggression I saw of these alligators to any type of people there. Now again, we did keep our distance when we were there. We didn't want to get too close. This is obviously a family business here, and they have had these interactions for a long time, and they feel very comfortable with these alligators. This was our last stop for the day, and we finished up and just went to a local restaurant in the center of the town after we were hanging out with the alligators all day. We were getting very excited for our third big day. And on our third day, we decided to book a flight to the island of Providencia in Santa Catalina. And this was a last minute trip that we were super excited that we decided to do. We did create a full video that goes through a step-by-step itinerary on how to make the most of your time on Providencia and Santa Catalina. But just in a quick summary, We stayed one night at a beautiful Airbnb. We went to Crab Cay Island. At the top of that island there's a beautiful overlook area that you get to see the contrast of the beautiful Caribbean water. Also near the Crab Cay Island, we did some snorkeling. So one thing with us, being in the water is a must, and that's something that we enjoy in all of the destinations that we go to. After we finished up snorkeling at Crab Cay, we jumped back in a little boat and went to the main island of Providencia, hopped back on the scooter, and went to Santa Catalina. Santa Catalina was a beautiful little island that no scooters, no cars are allowed on, so you must park your scooter on the main island of Providencia and walk across it. We found this to be quite interesting here. We were able to catch up with a few of the locals and watch how they were doing the traditional hand lining fishing in their front yard. After Santa Catalina, we walked back across the bridge, got back on the scooter and the main island of Providencia, and made our way to a few stops along the island. The first bay that we visited was Almond Bay, which is a beautiful coastal beach. The next spot that we stopped was Freshwater Bay, which was a massive white sandy beach and a couple restaurants in that area. And we finished up the day to catch the sunset at Southwest Bay. On Santa Catalina, you will also find a few little local restaurants, which is a great place to get some seafood. Now, as you can see, between both of these islands, San Andres and Providencia, they are both awesome in their own way. I will say San Andres is a little bit more commercialized. You will find some big retailer stores, some big hotels, and in the island of Providencia, it is extremely undeveloped with any type of commercial buildings. There's not even a local souvenir store, and this is something that we honestly really enjoyed. We hope that this video gave you some great ideas of places to visit and things to do in San Andres and Providencia. If you've been to San Andres or Providencia, please let us know what your favorite spots are, and feel free to comment about any tips that you may have for other travelers. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe. We look forward to sharing more with you.